A wealthy black man, Alexander Hayes, decides to go undercover as a regular shopper in one of his luxury stores. The store's franchise owner, Martin Rowe, doesn't recognize Alexander and makes condescending, even racist remarks toward him. The next day, Martin is stunned when he's summoned to the company's headquarters, only to come face to face with the very man he disrespected. What happens next is a lesson he'll never forget. Alexander Hayes stood at the corner of Kings Boulevard, blending into the lively crowd of downtown Melbourne. The spring breeze carried a hint of warmth, ruffling the hem of his casual navy jacket. Alexander pulled his baseball cap lower, obscuring his face as he observed the people moving in and out of the glass-fronted luxury store he owned. Its sleek facade reflected elegance, with Hayes Prestige embossed in silver lettering above the entrance. Shoppers flowed steadily, their shopping bags swinging, while the store's stylish decor shone through the large windows. Taking a deep breath, Alexander stepped forward, pushing open the heavy glass door. A soft chime announced his entry. Inside, the store was a world of polished granite floors, plush leather seating, and meticulously arranged displays of luxury watches and handbags. The subtle scent of sandalwood hung in the air, mingling with soft classical piano music. Alexander had designed this space to feel both sophisticated and inviting. Today, however, he felt like an outsider. Dressed in plain khaki pants, sneakers, and a navy jacket, he looked nothing like the usual clientele. That was intentional. He wanted to see how his customers were treated when no one knew his status. Alexander had conducted similar undercover visits to other stores in his chain, but today felt different. This was the flagship store in his home city, a store he'd taken pride in building. He strolled over to a glass display case showcasing an array of high-end timepieces. Each one was carefully chosen by him for its craftsmanship and style. But today, he approached as just another customer. Out of the corner of his eye, Alexander noticed Martin Rowe, the store's franchise owner. Martin was a man in his late 50s, with salt and pepper hair slicked back and a crisp suit that seemed tailored to emphasize his stature. He was chatting with a woman in a pastel business suit, his practiced charm on full display. As Alexander neared the watches, Martin's gaze briefly shifted to him. The smile faded, replaced by a faint scowl. Alexander pretended not to notice and focused on the display. He picked up a classic watch with a gold bezel and an alligator leather strap, turning it over in his hands to admire its intricate details. "Excuse me," Alexander said, keeping his tone neutral. "Could you tell me more about this watch?" Martin approached with slow, deliberate steps. His eyes scanned Alexander's attire before landing on his face. His expression remained guarded, his tone clipped. "That's part of our exclusive prestige collection," Martin said flatly. "It's a limited edition piece, quite expensive though, probably not what you're after." Alexander raised an eyebrow but kept his voice calm. "Why do you say that?" Martin's lips thinned as he crossed his arms. "Well, let's just say it's tailored for serious collectors and investors. Perhaps I can show you something else more suited to your taste." Alexander felt irritation simmering beneath his calm facade. He decided to press further. "I consider myself a serious collector," he said evenly. "What's special about this watch?" Martin let out a small sigh, clearly displeased. "It's crafted by an elite Swiss watchmaker with 18-karat gold components and sapphire glass. Each watch is numbered. There are only 25 in existence worldwide. It's a real statement piece." Alexander nodded thoughtfully. "And the price?" Martin hesitated, glancing at Alexander again, before finally replying, "It's 96,000 Australian dollars, but as I mentioned, we do have other pieces more aligned with different budgets." Alexander placed the watch back on the velvet tray, his smile never faltering. "I see. And if I wanted to purchase this one?" Martin's brows furrowed and his tone turned defensive. Well, we'd need to verify payment before proceeding. These are high-value items, and we have policies to protect our brand's image. Alexander's patience was wearing thin, but he forced himself to remain composed. So, store policy requires proof of ability to pay before allowing a customer to buy? Martin straightened his posture. It's about ensuring the integrity of our reputation, he said curtly. We can't risk handling our best pieces irresponsibly. Alexander nodded slowly, suppressing the frustration building inside. I see. Thank you for your time. With that, he turned and walked toward the door, his footsteps echoing on the granite floor. He could feel Martin's eyes following him, silently judging him. The chime rang softly as Alexander stepped back onto Kings Boulevard. He didn't linger this time, his mind already churning with plans. What he had witnessed wasn't just disappointing, it was infuriating. As he walked briskly down the busy street, his anger began to shift into determination. This was no longer just a visit to observe. It had become a mission to make a change. That night, Alexander replayed the interactions in his mind. Each dismissive word from Martin sharpened his resolve. By morning, his frustration had transformed into a clear plan. Dressed once again in understated clothing, he made his way to Hayes Prestige's corporate headquarters in downtown Melbourne. The headquarters, a sleek modern building of glass and steel, reflected Alexander's vision for his brand, transparent yet powerful. Inside, the air buzzed with quiet efficiency. Alexander strode confidently into the executive conference room, a space dominated by a long walnut table and floor-to-ceiling windows, offering a panoramic view of the city. Martin Rowe was already there, seated with a confident air. He looked up as Alexander entered, his expression shifting from mild curiosity to confusion. Clearly, Martin had no idea who Alexander really was. "Mr. Hayes," Martin greeted hesitantly, standing to offer his hand. "I wasn't expecting to see you today. What can I do for you?" Alexander ignored the handshake and gestured for Martin to sit. "Take a seat, Martin. We have serious matters to discuss." Martin's confusion deepened, but he complied, sitting stiffly. "Is there an issue with the store?" he asked, his voice carefully neutral. "Sales have been strong, and customer feedback has been positive overall." Alexander leaned forward, his gaze sharp. "Sales numbers aren't the problem," he said evenly. "The issue is your behavior. Yesterday, I visited your store as a regular customer, dressed casually." Martin's face paled as realization dawned. He opened his mouth, but Alexander raised a hand to silence him. "You judged me based solely on my appearance," Alexander continued. "You dismissed me, made assumptions about my worth, and treated me with disrespect. And from what I observed, this isn't just about how you treated me. It's a reflection of how you likely treat others." Martin's composure faltered. "Mr. Hayes, I didn't know it was you. If I had—" "That's exactly the problem," Alexander interrupted, his voice rising slightly. "You shouldn't have to know who someone is to treat them with basic decency. This company was built on principles of inclusivity and respect. Your behavior undermines everything this brand stands for." Martin shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "I was just trying to maintain the store's image," he protested. "Our customers expect exclusivity. Our customers expect quality products and respectful service," Alexander cut in. "Regardless of what they look like or how they're dressed. Effective immediately, your franchise agreement is terminated. You will no longer represent my company." Martin's jaw dropped. "You can't be serious. I've been with Hayes Prestige for years. I've built that store's reputation." Alexander stood, his voice calm but firm. "You've built a reputation for exclusion and prejudice. I won't allow that to tarnish my brand. Security will escort you out, and you'll receive details on the termination process." Martin's protests fell on deaf ears as Alexander exited the room, leaving him to face the consequences of his actions. The next day, Alexander returned to the store, greeted warmly by the staff who were eager to embrace the new direction. He had appointed Sophia Lang, the assistant manager, as interim leader. With her compassionate leadership and the staff's renewed sense of purpose, Alexander knew Hayes Prestige was on its way to becoming a place where luxury and respect coexisted. Looking around the bustling store, Alexander felt a deep sense of pride. This was the brand he had envisioned, not just a symbol of success, but a reflection of values that truly mattered. Over the next few days, Hayes Prestige underwent significant changes. Alexander worked closely with Sophia to implement training programs for all staff. The focus was clear: customer service rooted in respect and inclusivity. From greeting customers to handling sensitive situations, every employee was given the tools and guidance to create an environment where everyone felt valued. To solidify these changes, Alexander scheduled a meeting with the store staff. Held in the newly updated conference room at corporate headquarters, the gathering was designed to reassure the team while setting the tone for the future. The room filled with staff members, their faces a mix of curiosity and unease. Sophia stood at the front with a clipboard in hand, exuding newfound confidence. Alexander rose to address the group, his demeanor calm yet resolute. "Thank you all for being here," he began. "I know the past few days have been a whirlwind, and I want to be transparent about what's happening. Martin Rowe is no longer with Hayes Prestige. His departure was necessary to realign the store with the values this company stands for." A ripple of murmurs passed through the staff. Alexander continued, meeting their gazes with sincerity. "I want to make one thing clear. Your positions are not at risk. Each of you is vital to the success of this store, and I deeply value your contributions. However, moving forward, we'll be focusing on creating a welcoming environment for all customers, regardless of who they are or how they look." Sophia stepped forward to add, "We'll begin by introducing comprehensive training sessions. These workshops will cover everything from customer interaction to cultural awareness. The goal is to empower you to provide exceptional service while ensuring every customer feels respected." One of the younger sales associates, Ethan Chen, raised his hand. "How long will these training sessions last?" he asked, his tone cautious. Sophia smiled. "We'll start with short sessions spread over the next month, followed by ongoing training throughout the year. This isn't about checking boxes, it's about continuous improvement." An older employee, Margaret Hollis, spoke next. "What should we do if we see behavior that doesn't align with these values?" Alexander nodded approvingly. "That's an excellent question, Margaret. You can report any concerns directly to Sophia or to me. We're committed to addressing issues promptly and creating a culture of accountability. Your voice matters, and I want you to feel safe speaking up." The staff exchanged glances, a sense of cautious optimism spreading through the room. Another employee, Claire Lewis, raised a hand. "What about customers who behave inappropriately? How do we handle situations where someone's being rude or discriminatory?" Sophia answered with confidence. "Part of the training will include strategies for managing difficult situations. If you ever feel uncomfortable, call on a manager immediately. You won't be left to deal with those moments alone." Alexander added, "Remember, we're a team. Supporting each other is just as important as supporting our customers. Together, we can create an atmosphere where everyone feels welcome." The tension in the room eased, replaced by a sense of purpose. The staff seemed ready to embrace the changes. Alexander could see the shift, a genuine willingness to improve and align with the company's values. "Thank you all for your time and your commitment," Alexander said, wrapping up the meeting. "I believe in each of you, and I'm confident we'll build something truly special together." As the staff dispersed, many stopped to exchange words of encouragement with Sophia, who handled their questions with ease. Watching her interact with the team, Alexander knew he had made the right choice in promoting her. Her leadership qualities were already making an impact. In the weeks that followed, the changes at Hayes Prestige became evident. Customers remarked on the welcoming atmosphere and the attentive service. Sales associates greeted every visitor warmly, regardless of their appearance. Word spread that Hayes Prestige was more than a luxury store. It was a place where respect and sophistication went hand in hand. One afternoon, Alexander decided to visit the store unannounced to see the progress firsthand. Dressed casually, as he often preferred, he stepped through the doors. The familiar chime greeted him, but this time, so did a cheerful voice. "Good afternoon, Mr. Hayes," said Ethan Chen, smiling as he approached. "It's great to see you." Alexander returned the smile, shaking Ethan's hand. "Good afternoon, Ethan. How's everything going?" "Really well," Ethan replied enthusiastically. "The training sessions have been a game changer. Everyone's on the same page, and the customers have noticed. Sophia's done an amazing job leading us." Alexander nodded, feeling a surge of pride. "That's exactly what I like to hear. Keep up the excellent work." As Alexander moved through the store, he noticed the shift in energy. The staff were engaged and proactive, assisting customers with genuine care. The oppressive atmosphere he had encountered during his first visit was gone, replaced by warmth and professionalism. In the jewelry section, he found Sophia speaking with a customer. When she noticed Alexander, she excused herself and approached him with a smile. "Mr. Hayes, it's great to see you," she said. "You too, Sophia," Alexander replied. "I wanted to stop by and see how things were going. It looks like you've done a fantastic job." Sophia's face lit up with pride. "Thank you, Mr. Hayes. The team has really stepped up. I think we're finally creating the kind of store that reflects your vision." Their conversation was interrupted by the chime of the door. Alexander turned to see a familiar figure. Martin Rowe. His appearance was disheveled, his usually sharp suit slightly wrinkled. His eyes scanned the store until they landed on Alexander and Sophia. Martin approached hesitantly, his confident demeanor replaced by uncertainty. "Mr. Hayes," he began, his voice almost pleading, "I know I'm the last person you want to see, but I need to talk to you. Please, just give me a moment." Alexander's expression hardened. He glanced at Sophia, who looked both surprised and uncomfortable, then back at Martin. "You have a moment," Alexander said coldly. "Say what you need to say." Martin swallowed hard, his shoulders sagging. "I came to apologize," he said, his voice thick with desperation. "I've had time to reflect on my behavior, and I realize I was wrong. I judged people unfairly, including you. I let my biases cloud my judgment, and I'm sorry." Alexander listened silently, his face unreadable. Martin continued. "Please, Mr. Hayes, I've been part of this company for years. I care about Hayes Prestige. Just give me another chance, and I'll prove that I can change." Alexander's eyes narrowed. "Martin," he said, his tone firm, "this isn't about one mistake. It's about a mindset, a pattern of behavior that doesn't align with this company's values. I appreciate your apology, but the decision has been made." Martin's face fell, despair replacing hope. "I understand," he said quietly. "I just thought—" "You thought wrong," Alexander interjected. "This isn't about punishment. It's about ensuring that this brand represents the principles it was built on. I hope you use this as an opportunity to grow, but you will not be returning to this store." Martin nodded slowly, his shoulders slumping further. Without another word, he turned and walked out of the store. Alexander watched him go, his resolve unwavering. Sophia spoke softly. "Thank you for standing firm. The team needed to see that." Alexander nodded. "This is about more than one person. It's about what we stand for. And we're going to keep building something we can all be proud of." As the store continued to thrive under Sophia's leadership, Alexander knew the changes were taking root. Hay's prestige was becoming a symbol of both luxury and respect, a vision Alexander had always dreamed of, now made real.